Hi everyone, Anthony Morganti here. Recently, Adobe released a new version of Photoshop. In today's video, I'm going to go over 5 things that are new in this release. Now, I do want to stress that the things I'll be going over in this video are in the current version of Photoshop. They're not exclusive to the beta version, although in the past, I've done videos on maybe 2 or 3 of these features when they were in beta. Now, the first new feature I want to talk about is landscape masking. If you happen to catch my video where I went over the new things found in the current version of Lightroom, by the way, if you haven't seen that video, I'll have a link to it in the description below this video. In that video, I demonstrated the new landscape masking found in Lightroom. Well, that same landscape masking is in Photoshop. It's in Camera Raw. Now, as you can see, I have this image opened in Photoshop. I'm going to duplicate the background layer by hitting Command-J on my Mac, Control-J on a PC, and I'm going to open this image up into Camera Raw. To do that, go up to Filter, and then down to Camera Raw Filter. Now, of course, if you open a RAW file up into Photoshop and you didn't change any of your default settings, that RAW file will automatically open up into Camera Raw. To get to the new landscape masking, of course, you have to open up masking. To do that, click this little circle here, and you'll see right here is landscape. And when you click that, Photoshop will examine the image and it will find different things that are in the scene. For example, for this image, it found sky, it found architecture, that's the sculpture, it found vegetation, and it found water, and it found natural ground. And you'll notice it's not perfect, like the natural ground has like some parts in the background there that probably don't need to be selected. The water selected some of the natural ground. But like any other mask, you could add to it, you could subtract from it, you could copy and paste it, you could intersect it. So you could do anything to modify the mask that you could do with any other mask. Now for this specific image, I'm going to create all of these masks. So I'm going to click all of these little check boxes. And I'm going to create 5 separate masks because if I create one single mask, it's rather worthless, right? So we'll click create. When you do, you'll have, in this case, 5 different masks. And again, it will be different for every image you work on. If your image doesn't have water in it, obviously it's not going to have a water option. So it's going to find what's in the scene. Now for the sky, I like the default way I found everything there. I'm just going to leave it there. And I'm going to go to effects, and in effects, I'm going to add some texture to the sky, some clarity to the sky, some dehaze to the sky, so make it look more foreboding. We'll click on architecture, and with architecture, I am going to just make it just a little bit brighter. And we'll go to effects and we'll add some texture. And then for the vegetation, you can see it's selected like all the little type of grass that's popping out here. And you'll notice that natural ground and vegetation overlap. That's because with vegetation, it not only will find the grass on the ground, but it will find trees. And it found these weeds over here. This is called Phragmites. That's the type of weed it is. But anyway, so there will be some overlap at times. And I'll just add some saturation to vegetation with water just to show you that you could add and subtract from a mask. You notice now the water over selected. It has some of the grass selected here. So we'll subtract. And we'll subtract with the brush. And with the brush settings, I'm going to turn off auto mask. And we're going to just come in here and use the minus brush to take it away from where I don't want it to affect. Like this in here. And then we're just affecting the water. And what do I want to do with this water? Well, I don't know. We'll go to light and we'll make it a bit darker. And then we'll go to natural ground, and I think I'll just make the natural ground a bit brighter. And when you're done, just click OK, and it will, in this case, return me to Photoshop. So there's before, and there's after, before, and after. So landscape masking now in Camera Raw, which of course is in Photoshop. Now, the next new thing I want to talk about is actually been in Photoshop, but what's new about it is in the past, it only worked on RAW files. Now it will work on non-RAW files. I'm talking about reflection removal. Because I have this, probably the worst photo I ever took in my life. This is in the Smithsonian Institution in Washington. This is all in the family's living room scene. Archie's chair, Edith's chair, Archie's beer, Archie's hat, so on. But you see all these reflections in the glass? I could get rid of these. To do it, you need to go to Camera Raw again. I'm going to duplicate the background layer by hitting Command J on my Mac. Again, it's Control J on a PC. And then I'm going to go up to Filter, then down to Camera Raw Filter. And it's in the removal tools. The removal tools are a little eraser here. So click on that and then go down here. You see it says Reflections. Roll that open and click Apply. Before I do, though, you do have some quality options. You have Preview, Standard, and Best. Which one you choose, when you look at them, it's supposed to be maybe Best would be the best and Standard's in the middle and Preview's not as good. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to all work the same. I've tried it on several different images and they all seem to work about the same on every image. What you'll find, though, is that Best will take the longest, Preview the next shortest, and then, Preview the shortest, Best the longest, and Standard, of course, is in the middle. Let's keep it on Preview for this demonstration. We'll go with Apply. I hope that made sense. Preview is going to go the fastest, and Best is going to go the slowest, is what I'm trying to say. But you can see it remove most of the reflections. There's maybe a little bit here and a little bit there. What you could do is you could see what it did by taking the slider off of 100. And as you start moving it back, you'll start bringing those reflections back. When you get it down to 0, that's the image unedited. Then if I bring it negative, keep moving it to left, I'll start taking the image away until I'm at -100 and I have the image totally gone and all I have are reflections. Maybe there is a reason why you may want to do that. I don't know. But if you want to just soften the reflections, you don't want to totally remove them, and you could do this with this slider. And again, if Preview didn't do a good enough job, you could try Standard or Best. Again, it will take longer to render. So we'll leave it at Preview and we'll click OK. And there it is. There's before and there's after. Before and after. Now, what I want to demonstrate too is what I found it works great if you photograph zoo animals, because often you're shooting through thick plexiglass and you'll often get reflections on the glass that will ruin the image. You can see particularly on the left side here, there's reflections, and there's some reflection here on this Japanese macaque. And this again is a JPEG, works on RAW files though too, as I mentioned. But let's do this. Let's go up to Filter and let's go to Camera Raw Filter. And then let's go to the removal tools. Let's go to Reflections, leave it in preview mode and click Apply. And you'll notice it does a great job. I found it does a really good job on these zoo images. You can see it removed the reflection. So there's before and there's after. There's before and there's after. And we'll click OK. I forgot to duplicate that background layer. But let's do one more. I love this image, but the reflections ruined it. So I'm going to duplicate the background layer this time. Again, Command or Control J. We're going to go up to Filter. Then we're going to go down to Camera Raw Filter. And then we're going to go to the removal tools. We're going to go to Reflections. We'll click Apply. And it does a fantastic job. I'm just so psyched because I have a lot of zoo images, such as this, that were ruined because of those reflections. We'll click OK. So there's before. And there's after. There's before. And there's after. Wow. So I'm really psyched about that. All right. Now, the next new feature I want to talk about is you could select people, but more than that, you could select parts of people and do edits just to those parts. For example, I have this group of people. Let's say I wanted to change the color of this man's jacket. Well, what I could do is I need to get the Object Selection tool. The Object Selection tool has the keyboard shortcut of W. So if you tap W, you'll get a selection tool, but you'll get one of 3 because 3 different tools share the W keyboard shortcut. You could see that Object Selection, Quick Selection, and Magic Wand tool. Get the Object Selection tool so you have that selected. Then you'll notice this little spinning wheel here. It's finding the people in the scene. Once that's done spinning, you could click on Select People and you'll have little thumbnails of each person. You could hover over that person and you'll see the outline of that person it found. You could click here and you could select all of the people. In this case here, if I go to +2, I can find this person second from the right and this one on the far right. I want to change the color of his jacket. Now you'll notice when I hover, he's completely selected. If I click on that though, now I have the option of selecting parts of him, his hair, his eyebrows, his nose, his mouth, and so on. All I need to do is find that coat. Hover over that, and I have the coat has a mask over it. Click that, then click apply. It'll take a second, and you'll see you have a selection now on his coat. Well, I mentioned I want to change colors of his coat. So we'll go to hue saturation. And with hue saturation, because it had a selection, it automatically created a mask. And then I could come in and change the color of his coat. And you can see how it's just affecting his coat and nothing else. So I could give him a different color coat. That's pretty cool. So there's people selections, for lack of a better term, now in Photoshop. All right. Now, there's also in the current version of Photoshop, you could adjust colors. So when you have an image such as this, if you look at the contextual taskbar, that's this little thing right here. I have it pinned so it stays there. You can see it pinned. That's where I like to have it. If you don't see the contextual taskbar, go up to Window and then go down here and make sure contextual taskbar has a check mark next to it. You'll see there's an option, adjust colors. Now, I've been seeing this demoed for a while by different people because it was in beta, of course, for a while. And in all of those demonstrations, it seemed like the person demoing it chose an image where it worked perfectly. And the truth is, 90% of the time, it's not going to work perfectly. So I purposely chose an image where it won't work perfectly so I could show you how you could work with this and actually make it work really well. So I go to adjust colors and I want to change the colors of her dress. Now you'll notice here we have color swatches. When you click on adjust colors in the contextual taskbar, you'll have the top 6 colors it found in the image. These are these little swatches here. And then it has one with all the colors. So you could adjust all the colors or individual colors. You also have this eyedropper, which is grayed out. You have to select one first. And you could kind of narrow down the color if you need to with the color eyedropper. For example, I want to change the color of her dress. So I'll click on this swatch because that's the color of the dress. Then I can narrow it down with the eyedropper. I could click and then click on her dress to make it a little more accurate. But I don't want to because I want to show you here. Oops, stop. I want to show you here how this works. So we're going to go with hue. I want to change the color of her dress, right? So we're going to go to hue. And you'll notice now, it actually, as far as her dress is concerned, kind of looks okay. But let's be realistic. It affects the entire image. It's really affecting her skin tone. It's affecting some of the background. It's affecting a lot. And that's what you'll find, particularly in colors like reds and yellows that are close to some skin tones. You'll see that it will affect the skin a lot too. Also, you'll notice this didn't catch all of her dress. It has these pleats here. It's kind of got that color of her dress coming through. So I need to fix this. What you can do is once you have it kind of set the way you want it, I want it that color, is you could notice when you use this, it adds a hue saturation adjustment layer. That's the actual tool that is being used to change the color of her dress. Double click on the actual hue saturation adjustment layer. And by default, you'll see this and you'll still see the same circles we saw before. And by the way, you'll notice when you do an adjustment on a circle, you'll have the original color and kind of the top left-hand side of the circle, orange, and then the new color on the lower right side of the circle. But what you could do is when you have this, by default, this is pretty much all you're going to see, but there's some stuff hidden here. All you need to do is drift your cursor down towards the bottom till you get that double arrow, then drag this down. And what you'll notice is you have a before and after bars. The top is the before. This is the color of the dress, which is right in here. And then right down here is the after. That's the color we're switching it to. What you need to do is try to incorporate it, in this case, so that it catches all of the dress and removes some of the background. Now, I don't think I could do both. But what we could do, let's try moving this, and we'll move this way, this way, this way. So if I'm moving this to the left, I'm getting all the dress. You notice now I got all the dress right there. And I really can't move it in a way that's going to remove it from her skin and from the background, from her lips and so on. But I still could do something here. So I like that. I made this minor adjustment and it now has colorized her dress perfectly. But it's colorizing too much. So what can I do? Well, when you use any adjustment layer, including the hue saturation adjustment layer, it comes with a mask. So we could mask this. So what we'll do is you could click on the mask and you could use a brush, and you need to paint in black on where you don't want it. That's a lot of work. There's a better way. I just showed you a new tool where we could select a person. Well, let's do that. But what you'll find, I'm going to show you what you might run into. Right now I have the object selection tool on and it has select people here, but when I go, it says no people found. That's because I'm on the adjustment layer. Make sure you're on the actual layer that has the person in it. Then go to select person and we have our person. Click on that. Now I could select everything but her dress, but I think what is faster is if I select her dress. So I'll get a selection of her dress. And in a second, you'll see the marching ants going around her dress. Then what I'll do is I'll click on the mask. Our selection stays there, but I need to invert the selection. I want the dress unselected and everything else selected. To do that, on a Mac, hit Shift-Command-I. On a PC, Shift-Control-I. Now you'll notice, you may not have noticed it, but you'll notice that there's marching ants going around the outside. That's indicating everything but that dress is selected. Now, I need to paint in black in all those areas. Just make sure you're clicked on the mask. When you're clicked on the mask over here, you'll have a black swatch and a white swatch. You should have the black swatch in the front. If you have the black swatch in the front, you have a Mac. Hold in the Option key and tap the Delete key. If you have a PC, hold in the Alt key and tap the Backspace key. On the other hand, if that black swatch is in the background, you could just switch it and then hit that Alt Option key. Or you could hold in the Command key and hit the Delete key if you have a Mac, or hold in the Control key and hit the Backspace key if you have a PC. No, that's confusing, isn't it? I made that so confusing. By the way, on my website, I have all the keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop, for Camera Raw, for Adobe Bridge, for Lightroom, both versions of Lightroom, Lightroom CC and Lightroom Classic. They're all free. You can download them. I'll have a link to that in the description below this video. But anyway, I digress. I want to get black in here. I have a Mac. I'm just going to hold in the Option key and hit the Delete key. And I just painted black everywhere that was selected. And you'll notice that the dress wasn't selected, so it didn't paint it there. Get rid of the marching ants by hitting Command or Control D. All right. And there's before. And there's after. Before. After. So hopefully that made sense. I wanted to show you something that was more realistic. Something where you're going to stumble into. And boy, the guy made it look so easy in the video, and this isn't working for me. Well, this is how you can make it work for you. And I was able to change the color of her dress pretty effectively using masks and using that other little thing where you double click on the actual adjustment layer, pull this down because by default it's going to be way up here. Pull it down to get it here and adjust this as needed, and you'll get it working the way you want it and get it looking the way you want it. So I think that's a cool feature. I do like that feature, but it takes a little more work than you might imagine. All right, the last new feature I'm going to talk about is improved subject selection. Now again, hit the W key to get any of the three adjustments: object selection, quick selection, magic wand tool. Doesn't matter which one. When you have any of those selected, up here you'll have this button, Select Subject. You also have Select Subject on the contextual taskbar. You also could go up to Select and then down to Subject here as well. But the reason why I wanted you to do it this way is because when you do it this way, you'll have this little drop-down arrow and you'll see Device, Quicker Results, Cloud, Detailed Results. This improvement is only with the Cloud Detailed Results. And by default, you won't have that. You'll have the Device, Quicker Results. So make sure you're on Cloud Detailed Results. You'll notice that mine defaulted to Cloud Detailed Results. There is a setting in Photoshop Preferences that you could change to make it so that it always will default to the cloud. If you have it set to cloud, Then when you use select subject on the contextual taskbar, or you go up to select down to subject, it will always use the cloud. To do that on a Mac, go to the Photoshop 2025 menu and go to settings. On a PC, it's under the edit menu, and I believe it's called preferences on a PC. Correct me if I'm wrong. But either way, you go to settings or preferences, and then you'll go down to image processing. And from there, at the very top, you could see select subject and remove background. Use cloud detailed results. Change it to that. Click OK. Also, if you find when it was finding the people and stuff like that, it wasn't working well, change selections processing to more stable, remove tool processing to more stable, and enhance detail processing to more stable. That will improve how its effectiveness in finding people in different scenes. And then click OK once you're satisfied. Then what you do when you do select subject, you could do this like in 3 clicks. Select the subject. You'll get marching ants around the subject. Then go to select and mask, which is right next to it. Then you could use the view. I like to use the view on black and take the opacity all the way up. And you'll notice that there's some gaps in her hair. Then just click refine hair. And you'll see that it will refine her hair. Then you could go down here and decontaminate settings. And you're done. Then click OK. We outputted it to a mask. And you can see that it's a perfect clip out. I mean, absolutely perfect every single time. Does a great job. And that's new. Again, it's only in the select subject when you use the cloud to select the subject. So that's it. Those are the 5 new things found in the current version of Photoshop. And again, in the description of this video, I have a link to the video I did talking about the new things found in the current version of Lightroom. I'll also have links to my website. You can check out all those free keyboard shortcut PDFs you could download, print at home. I have them for Photoshop, as I mentioned, Adobe Camera Raw, Lightroom Classic, Lightroom CC. There's a bunch. You could just take a look and download all you want. Thank you, everyone who watches my videos. I really do appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.